Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Daily English Talks. I'm Mia, and today I'm really excited to take you on a journey through some of the most commonly used idioms in the English language. If you've ever found yourself wondering what it means when someone says they're under the weather, or they've decided to bite the bullet, you're in the right place. In this video, we're going to explore 200 of the most useful idioms that native English speakers use all the time in daily conversations. These idioms are key to sounding more fluent, understanding others better, and making your English more expressive and natural. We'll also go over practical examples for each idiom and give you short exercises in the form of real-life scenarios, so you can practice and truly understand how to use them. So sit back, relax, and let's begin our journey through the world of idioms together. Idioms are phrases where the words together have a meaning that is different from the dictionary definitions of the individual words. They are used every day by native speakers, and if you don't understand them, it can be very confusing. For example, if someone says, break the ice, they're not literally breaking anything. It means to start a conversation in a social setting, especially when people don't know each other well. Imagine you're at a party, standing awkwardly in a group of strangers. You might tell a joke or comment on the music to break the ice. These expressions add color and emotion to language and are used in every kind of situation, at work, with friends, during travel, or just in small talk. Let's begin with one very common idiom. Hit the sack. When someone says they're going to hit the sack, they mean they're going to bed. It's an informal way of saying you're tired and it's time to sleep. So, if you've had a long day and you're really sleepy, you could say, I'm going to hit the sack now. Practice this with your own example. After watching this video, I'll probably hit the sack because I have an early morning. Another similar idiom is call it a day. It means to stop working on something, usually because you feel you've done enough. For example, if you've been studying all afternoon, you might say, I'm tired, let's call it a day. Try to use it in a daily situation, like, we've cleaned most of the house already, let's call it a day. Now, let's look at an idiom you might hear at work. Back to the drawing board. This means that a plan didn't work out, and you need to start over. If your team creates a new app, but the first version has too many bugs, someone might say, looks like we need to go back to the drawing board. You can use this idiom when talking about school projects, business plans, or even dinner recipes that didn't work out. A good way to practice this is to think of a situation in your life where you had to start over and say, I had to go back to the drawing board. Next up, we have the idiom, bite the bullet. It means to do something difficult or unpleasant that you've been avoiding. Maybe you've been putting off a dentist appointment because you're scared. Eventually, you bite the bullet and go. Try this. I didn't want to clean the garage, but I finally bit the bullet and spent the whole weekend doing it. Another one you'll hear often is cost an arm and a leg. It means something is very expensive. If someone says, that new phone costs an arm and a leg, they mean it's ridiculously pricey. You could say, I love that car, but it costs an arm and a leg, so I'll just keep dreaming for now. A very casual idiom that people love to use is let the cat out of the bag. It means to reveal a secret by accident. Let's say you're planning a surprise party for a friend, but someone mentions it in front of them. You'd say, "Oh no, he let the cat out of the bag." Try to imagine a time when someone spoiled a surprise and say, "She let the cat out of the bag before we could hide the birthday cake." Another funny one is under the weather. It means someone is feeling a little sick or not quite well. For example, "I didn't go to work today because I was feeling under the weather." Use this idiom when talking about colds, headaches, or just not feeling great. Let's practice with a small paragraph that includes a few idioms. Imagine this. Yesterday, I was feeling under the weather, but I had to bite the bullet and go to work because of an important meeting. After the meeting, I was so exhausted, I just hit the sack early. Today, I feel much better. See how those idioms flow naturally in a conversation? You can even try replacing them with literal meanings to see how much color the idioms add. Now you try. Write or think about a day you were tired or sick, but had to do something anyway. Use at least 2 idioms we've covered. Another very popular idiom is break a leg. It sounds scary, but it's actually a way to wish someone good luck, especially before a performance. If your friend is about to give a speech or act in a play, you say, break a leg. It's often used in theater, but now it's common in all kinds of situations. You could say, good luck with your job interview, break a leg. Another idiom that's good for daily conversations is hit the nail on the head. This means you've described something exactly right. If someone says, the reason we're late is traffic, and that's exactly true, you can say, you hit the nail on the head. Try practicing this one by thinking of a time someone described your feelings or situation perfectly and say, wow, you hit the nail on the head. There's also kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It means to solve 2 problems with 1 action. For example, if you walk your dog to the grocery store, you're getting exercise and running errands at the same time. I killed 2 birds with 1 stone by calling my mom while I cooked dinner. Another one to learn is spill the beans. It's similar to let the cat out of the bag. It means to reveal a secret. Someone might say, he spilled the beans about the surprise party. You could say, don't spill the beans. She doesn't know we bought her a gift. Let's do a practice paragraph again. Here's a short story. This morning, I hit the nail on the head when I told my team that the issue was due to poor communication. Then, during lunch, I killed 2 birds with 1 stone by catching up on my reading while eating. In the afternoon, I accidentally spilled the beans about the company's new project. Oops! This kind of paragraph helps reinforce how idioms fit into everyday life. Try to create your own paragraph now, using at least 3 idioms we've mentioned. One more idiom before we pause. The ball is in your court. It means it's your turn to take action or make a decision. Imagine you've made an offer and now you're waiting for a reply. You might say, I've done my part, now the ball is in your court. Try this in your own example. I told him how I felt. Now the ball is in his court. Another idiom that's often used when someone is dealing with a difficult situation is burning the midnight oil. This means working late into the night. It comes from the time when people used oil lamps to work at night. If you're preparing for an exam or finishing a work report at 2 a.m., you're burning the midnight oil. You might say, I've been burning the midnight oil all week to meet my deadline. This idiom is especially useful for students and professionals alike. Try using it in a sentence about a time you stayed up late to finish something important. Now, let's talk about a blessing in disguise. This idiom means something that seems bad or unlucky at first, but ends up being good. Imagine you didn't get the job you wanted, but then you find something better. You might say, losing that job was actually a blessing in disguise because it pushed me to find a career I love. Think about a situation in your life where something didn't go as planned, but later turned out to be a good thing. Use this idiom to describe it in your own words. Next is beat around the bush. When someone is avoiding the main topic or not getting to the point, you say they are beating around the bush. For example, if a friend wants to ask for a favor but keeps talking about unrelated things, you might say, stop beating around the bush and tell me what you need. You can use this idiom when someone is hesitating or avoiding saying something directly. Try this. She beat around the bush before finally asking me for money. This idiom helps you express frustration or impatience in a polite way. Another very useful idiom is cut to the chase. It's the opposite of beating around the bush. When you tell someone to cut to the chase, you're asking them to get to the point quickly. It's used when someone is giving too much background or irrelevant details. You might say, we don't have much time, so let's cut to the chase. What do you need me to do? Try using it in your own example. I was running late, so I told the interviewer to cut to the chase and ask the most important questions. Now let's explore the idiom. Under your nose. It means something is happening very close to you, but you don't notice it. For example, the missing keys were right under my nose the whole time. You can use this idiom for physical objects, or even secrets. The solution to our problem was under our noses, but we were too focused on the wrong thing. This idiom helps to highlight situations where we miss the obvious. Another great one is, jump on the bandwagon. This means to start doing something just because it's popular. For example, everyone started posting videos on that new app, so I jumped on the bandwagon too. You can use this to talk about trends, fashion, diets, or social media. It's not always negative. Sometimes it's just a way to say you're doing what others are doing. Try to think of a recent trend you joined and say, I jumped on the bandwagon when everyone started watching that show. Let's move to the best of both worlds. This means enjoying two different benefits at the same time. Imagine you have a job that lets you work from home and also travel. That's the best of both worlds. You might say, I live in the city but work remotely, so I get the best of both worlds. Think of a situation where you enjoy two good things together and use this idiom to describe it. Another common idiom is once in a blue moon. This means something that happens very rarely. For instance, I eat fast food once in a blue moon. It helps to describe rare events in a colorful way. Try it with your own example. We only go to the beach once in a blue moon because it's far from our house. You can use it for habits, trips, or experiences that don't happen often. Let's practice these idioms in a story. Last night, I was burning the midnight oil trying to finish a report. I had almost given up when I found the answer right under my nose. It turned out that missing my earlier job interview was a blessing in disguise, because this one is a better fit. My boss usually beats around the bush, but today he cut to the chase. He said my report was excellent. I only eat out once in a blue moon. But I celebrated tonight. Honestly, I'm enjoying the best of both worlds with this job. Try to write a similar story from your own life, using at least 4 idioms. Another idiom you should know is on the same page. This means that 2 or more people agree about something or understand each other. For example, before we begin the project, let's make sure we're on the same page. It's useful in professional and personal situations. Try this. My partner and I were finally on the same page about our vacation plans. Use this when you want to express clear understanding or agreement. Then there's get cold feet. This means to suddenly become nervous or unsure about a big decision. A classic example is someone about to get married, who suddenly doubts whether they're ready. He got cold feet and canceled the wedding. You can use it for any situation where fear or hesitation takes over. Try this. I wanted to speak up in the meeting, but got cold feet. It's a very expressive way to talk about fear before action. Let's include another idiom that's useful for daily tasks. In hot water. This means being in trouble. For instance, I forgot my boss's deadline, and now I'm in hot water. You can use it at school, at work, or at home. I broke the vase, and now I'm in hot water with my mom. Think about a time when you got into trouble, and use this idiom to describe it. We can also learn, put all your eggs in one basket. This means to risk everything on one plan or option. If that plan fails, you lose everything. For example, I applied to only one university. Maybe I put all my eggs in one basket. This idiom reminds us to have backup plans. Try to use it like this. I invested all my money in one stock. I shouldn't have put all my eggs in one basket. Let's finish this part with a practice story. I got cold feet before my presentation, but my team helped me feel confident. We made sure we were on the same page about what to say. Everything went well until I spilled coffee on my boss's laptop. Now I'm in hot water. I had put all my eggs in one basket, hoping this presentation would get me promoted. Well, at least I learned something. Now you write a story with a few idioms to describe a stressful or funny situation in your life. Let's continue with a very useful idiom. Let the cat out of the bag. This means to reveal a secret by accident. Imagine you're planning a surprise party for a friend, and someone says, "Don't forget about the party on Friday," in front of the friend. You would say, "Oops, I just let the cat out of the bag." It's a fun and visual way to talk about giving away information too early. Try using it like this. He let the cat out of the bag about the project launch date. Now let's look at hit the nail on the head. This idiom means to say exactly the right thing, or to describe a situation perfectly. If someone explains exactly why a plan failed, you might say, "You hit the nail on the head." It's great for showing agreement or appreciation for insight. For example, she hit the nail on the head when she said we need more time for this task. Try using it next time someone makes a perfect observation. Another fun idiom is kick the bucket. This is a humorous or informal way of saying someone has died. Though it's a bit dark, people often use it lightly when talking about older relatives or in jokes. For example, my old car finally kicked the bucket. You can use it for things that stop working, not just people. Try this. I think my laptop kicked the bucket. Let's explore bite the bullet. This means to do something difficult or unpleasant that you've been avoiding. Imagine you need to go to the dentist, but you're scared. Finally, you decide to go. You'd say, I had to bite the bullet and make the appointment. You can use this idiom for any situation where you face a tough challenge head-on. Try, I bit the bullet and told her the truth. Next up is hit the books. This idiom is used when someone begins to study hard. It's often used by students. For example, I have finals next week, so I need to hit the books. It makes studying sound more active and intentional. You can also use it to describe someone who is always studying. He hits the books every weekend. Try to write a sentence about a time when you needed to study a lot. Another useful one is call it a day. This means to stop working for the time being. It's often used when people are tired or have done enough work. For example, we've been working since morning. Let's call it a day. It can also be used to describe giving up on a task. After several failed attempts, we called it a day. Think of a moment when you ended work and use this idiom. Let's try cost an arm and a leg. This idiom is used when something is very expensive. For instance, that designer bag costs an arm and a leg. You can use it to talk about shopping, bills, or anything pricey. Another example, my trip to Europe cost an arm and a leg, but it was worth it. Use it next time you're shocked by a price. Now let's discuss barking up the wrong tree. This idiom means you're making a wrong assumption or looking in the wrong place for a solution. For example, if you think I'm responsible for the error, you're barking up the wrong tree. It's a great way to politely correct someone. Try using it when someone misunderstands your actions or intentions. Another common idiom is a piece of cake. This means something is very easy to do. For example, the math test was a piece of cake. It's a positive, encouraging expression that makes tasks seem less intimidating. You can also use it like this. Fixing the sink was a piece of cake once I watched a tutorial. Think of a simple task you've done and use this idiom. Let's try break the ice. This idiom is used when starting a conversation in a social situation to make people feel more comfortable. For instance, I told a joke to break the ice at the meeting. It's perfect for interviews, first dates, or team introductions. Try saying, she brought snacks to break the ice with her new classmates. Think about how you can use this idiom when entering a new group. Another idiom is pull someone's leg. This means to joke or trick someone in a friendly way. For example, I told her I won the lottery, but I was just pulling her leg. It's a light-hearted expression used in daily conversation. Try using it like this. He said there was no class today, but he was just pulling my leg. Here's a useful idiom, in the same boat. This means to be in the same difficult situation as someone else. For example, we're all in the same boat. None of us studied for the test. It creates a sense of unity and shared experience. Use it when you want to express empathy or connection with others. I lost my job too, so we're in the same boat. Let's practice these idioms in a short story. Yesterday, I had to bite the bullet and go to the dentist, even though I hate it. It cost an arm and a leg, but I needed it. My friend tried to break the ice by joking that my teeth were fine, but I knew he was pulling my leg. After that, we both hit the books because exams are coming. We're definitely in the same boat. When we finished, we called it a day and treated ourselves to cake. A piece of cake, really. Try writing your own short story using at least 5 idioms from this section. Choose a situation that involves school, work, or a social setting. Next, let's discuss add fuel to the fire. This idiom means to make a bad situation worse. For example, when she laughed during the argument, it added fuel to the fire. You can use it when someone makes things more intense or negative. Try this. Yelling at him didn't help. It just added fuel to the fire. Another strong idiom is, the ball is in your court. This means it's your turn to make a decision or take action. For instance, I have done my part. Now the ball is in your court. It's commonly used in relationships, business, and negotiations. Try using it when someone else needs to respond to your offer or message. Then there's miss the boat. This means you missed an opportunity. For example, I didn't apply in time and missed the boat. It's a great idiom to describe regret or delay. We missed the boat on investing early. Try thinking of a missed opportunity in your life and use this idiom to talk about it. Let's end this part with a story. I had the chance to sign up early, but I missed the boat. Now the prices have gone up and it costs an arm and a leg. I was upset, but complaining would just add fuel to the fire. My friend said the ball is in my court if I still want to go. So I hit the books, found a way to save money, and finally made the booking. Now it's your turn. Write about a time you faced a challenge and use at least 3 idioms to describe what happened and how you handled it. One idiom that's common in work environments is burn the midnight oil. It means to work late into the night, usually to meet a deadline. For example, she burned the midnight oil to finish her report. It gives the image of someone working by candlelight or lamp. Try using it like this. We had to burn the midnight oil before the launch day. Another great idiom is throw in the towel. This means to give up or admit defeat, and it originally comes from boxing. Imagine someone who has tried multiple times to solve a problem, but finally decides it's too hard. You'd say, after trying to fix the car all day, he finally threw in the towel. You can also use it in relationships or work situations. They threw in the towel and canceled the project. Let's explore go the extra mile. This idiom means to put in more effort than expected. For instance, our teacher always goes the extra mile to help us learn. It's positive and shows dedication. You could say, she went the extra mile to make sure the client was happy. Think of someone in your life who puts in extra effort and use this idiom to describe them. Next up is get cold feet. This means to suddenly feel nervous or unsure before doing something important. For example, he got cold feet before his wedding. You can use it in many situations, such as before a performance or presentation. Try, I got cold feet before my big speech, but I did it anyway. Then we have under the weather. This idiom is used when someone feels sick. It's a gentle way to talk about illness. For example, I didn't come to work yesterday because I was feeling under the weather. You can also use it to describe minor sickness like a cold or headache. Try using it in your next conversation about health. Another useful idiom is a blessing in disguise. This refers to something that seems bad at first, but turns out to be good. For example, losing that job was a blessing in disguise. I found a better one. It's helpful for talking about situations where unexpected change brings positive outcomes. Think of a time in your life when something that felt bad actually helped you in the long run. Let's now talk about beat around the bush. This idiom means to avoid saying something directly. For instance, stop beating around the bush and tell me what happened. It's useful when someone is being indirect or hesitant. You might say, she kept beating around the bush instead of saying she didn't want to go. Another good idiom is, by the skin of your teeth. This means just barely managing to do something. For example, he passed the exam by the skin of his teeth. It's often used when someone succeeds, but only just. You could also say, we caught the train by the skin of our teeth. Next is, face the music. This means to accept the consequences of your actions. For example, he cheated on the test and had to face the music. It's often used when someone needs to deal with something unpleasant they caused. Try using it in a sentence like, after forgetting her lines, she had to face the music during rehearsal. We also use cut to the chase. This means to get to the point quickly. For instance, let me cut to the chase. We're out of time. It's useful in meetings or when telling a story. You might say, he finally cut to the chase and explained the real issue. Here's another, hit the sack. This means to go to bed. It's a casual way to say you're going to sleep. For example, I'm exhausted. I'm going to hit the sack. Try using it at the end of your day. After such a long shift, I couldn't wait to hit the sack. Let's practice with a short scene. Last night, I burned the midnight oil trying to finish my assignment. I was under the weather, but had to go the extra mile. When I finally submitted it, I hit the sack immediately. This morning, I found out the deadline had been extended. A blessing in disguise, I guess. Still, I had to face the music when my teacher asked why I didn't wait. Now your turn. Write a few lines about a time you had to stay up late to meet a deadline or finish something important. Try to use at least 4 idioms from this section. Let's move on with jump on the bandwagon. This idiom means to join something popular or trendy. For example, everyone started using that app, so I jumped on the bandwagon. It can be used positively or negatively depending on context. Try using it like this. She jumped on the bandwagon and started wearing those shoes too. Next is back to the drawing board. This idiom means to start again after a failure. Imagine designing something that didn't work. You'd say, well, it's back to the drawing board. It's a practical idiom used in business, creative work, and school projects. For example, the experiment didn't work, so it's back to the drawing board. Then there's throw someone under the bus. This means to blame or sacrifice someone for your own benefit. For example, he threw his colleague under the bus to avoid getting in trouble. It's often used when people shift blame or betray trust. Use it like this. I can't believe she threw me under the bus during the meeting. We also have on the fence. This idiom means being undecided about something. For instance, I'm on the fence about going to the party. It's a helpful way to express uncertainty. You might say, he's on the fence about which college to choose. Now try this short example. I was on the fence about switching jobs. When I asked for advice, my coworker threw me under the bus by telling the boss I wanted to leave. That made my decision easy. I went back to the drawing board and started job hunting. It wasn't long before I jumped on the bandwagon and joined a new startup. Your turn. Try describing a time when you had to change plans or make a tough decision. And use at least 3 idioms from today's lesson. Another idiom you'll often hear is, the ball is in your court. This phrase means that it's someone's turn to take action or make a decision. For example, if someone has been offered a job and they're thinking about accepting it, you could say, they've made you an offer, so now the ball is in your court. You might also say, I apologized already. Now the ball is in her court. Next up is, bite the bullet. This idiom means to face a difficult or unpleasant situation with courage. It comes from old times when soldiers had to bite a bullet during surgery without anesthesia. For example, I didn't want to go to the dentist, but I had to bite the bullet. It's used often when someone finally decides to deal with something tough. You might say he didn't want to move, but he bit the bullet and started packing. Another useful one is, let the cat out of the bag. This idiom means to reveal a secret, often by mistake. For example, he let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party. Imagine someone who wasn't supposed to say anything, but accidentally spilled the beans. You might say, don't let the cat out of the bag. It's a secret. Now let's look at cost an arm and a leg. This idiom means something is very expensive. For instance, that new phone cost me an arm and a leg. It's great for expressing frustration or surprise at high prices. You could say, their vacation to Europe cost them an arm and a leg. Another common idiom is, hit the nail on the head. It means to describe something exactly right, or to be spot on. For example, she hit the nail on the head when she said we needed better communication. It's used when someone identifies a problem or solution perfectly. You can say he hit the nail on the head with his suggestion. We also use kill 2 birds with 1 stone. This idiom means to accomplish 2 tasks with 1 action. For instance, by going to the gym near my office, I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I stay fit and avoid traffic. It's a great way to describe efficient multitasking. You might say, I picked up dinner and dropped off the mail on my way home. 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's talk about pulling someone's leg. This idiom means to joke with someone in a playful way. For example, don't take him seriously. He's just pulling your leg. You can also say, I thought she was being serious, but she was only pulling my leg. Now try this short scene. I had to bite the bullet and pay for the repairs. It cost me an arm and a leg. But at least the car runs now. When I told my friend, he thought I was pulling his leg. But I wasn't. He hit the nail on the head when he said I should have gotten a second opinion. I guess now the ball's in my court to be more careful. Your turn. Write a few sentences about a time you had to face a tough decision. or pay for something unexpectedly. Try using 4 idioms from this scene. Let's go over another one. Hit the books. This idiom means to study hard. For example, I've got a big exam tomorrow, so I need to hit the books. It's commonly used by students. You can also say, she's been hitting the books every night this week. Next is, in hot water. This means being in trouble. For example, he was in hot water for missing the meeting. It's a versatile idiom and can apply to many situations, at school, work, or home. You might say, she got in hot water with her boss after forgetting to send the report. Another idiom you might hear is, bite off more than you can chew. This means to take on more than you can handle. For example, he volunteered for 5 projects and now he's overwhelmed. He bit off more than he could chew. Use it when someone is struggling with too many responsibilities. Let's add, a dime a dozen. This idiom means something is very common or easy to find. For example, cheap headphones are a dime a dozen these days. It's useful when talking about products, ideas, or even people. You might say, fake influencers are a dime a dozen on social media. Now, go down in flames. This idiom means to fail spectacularly. For example, their new product went down in flames after the bad reviews. You could also say, the plan to host a huge event went down in flames due to bad weather. Here's a quick practice scene. I hit the books all week, but when the test came, I went down in flames. I guess I had bitten off more than I could chew, studying for 2 exams at once. Now I'm in hot water with my professor. I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong. Your turn. Think of a time you failed at something even after trying hard. Write a short description using at least 3 idioms from today. Let's go over. Cut corners. This idiom means to do something poorly or cheaply, usually to save time or money. For example, the builder cut corners and now the walls are already cracking. It's often used to criticize someone for taking shortcuts. Another idiom is break the ice. This means to make people feel more comfortable in a social setting. For instance, he told a joke to break the ice at the party. It's helpful in conversations and introductions. Try saying, she brought snacks to break the ice with the new team. Let's try. 11th hour. This idiom means doing something at the last possible moment. For example, he submitted his project at the 11th hour. You can say, they made a decision at the 11th hour to cancel the trip. We'll also add, burn bridges. This idiom means to destroy relationships, especially in a way that makes returning difficult. For example, he burned bridges with his boss when he left without notice. It's a warning not to act impulsively in sensitive situations. Let's practice. He cut corners on his assignment and had to redo it. Then he tried to break the ice with his teacher, but it didn't work. He submitted his final version at the 11th hour. I just hope he hasn't burned any bridges. Now you try. Write about a time you did something last minute or had to fix a rushed mistake. Use at least 3 idioms from this section. One more idiom that you're likely to hear in everyday conversation is, get your act together. This means to become organized or start behaving in a more effective or appropriate way. For instance, if someone is always late and disorganized, you might say, he really needs to get his act together if he wants to keep this job. Or after failing my exams, I realized it was time to get my act together and start studying seriously. Next up is under the weather. This idiom means feeling sick or unwell. For example, I didn't go to work today because I was feeling under the weather. It can also mean you're not feeling your best, mentally or emotionally. You might say, "She looked a little under the weather during the meeting." A popular idiom we use when we want someone to be quiet or stop talking is zip your lip. For instance, I told my little brother to zip his lip during the movie. It's casual and can also be used humorously among friends. I have a secret to tell you, but you have to promise to zip your lip. Let's talk about get cold feet. This idiom means to suddenly feel nervous or afraid to do something important, often just before doing it. For example, he got cold feet right before the wedding. Or she wanted to quit her job and travel the world, but she got cold feet at the last minute. Next is go the extra mile. This means to make more effort than is expected. It's often used in workplaces to describe someone who does more than their job requires. For instance, our customer service team always goes the extra mile to help clients. Or she went the extra mile and decorated the whole room for the party. Another frequently used idiom is bent out of shape. This means being very upset or angry. For example, don't get bent out of shape over something so small. Or he got bent out of shape because someone took his parking spot. Let's use some of these idioms in context. I've been feeling under the weather, but I knew I had to get my act together for my interview. I almost got cold feet walking into the building, but I reminded myself I could do it. I went the extra mile by preparing a portfolio of my work. The interviewer was impressed. I just hope I didn't get bent out of shape when they asked me a tough question. I tried to stay calm and zip my lip before speaking out of turn. Your turn. Think of a time when you had to push yourself to achieve something, or when you were nervous about an important event. Try to use at least 4 idioms from this section in your response. Let's continue with miss the boat. This idiom means to miss an opportunity. For example, I forgot to apply for the scholarship and now I've missed the boat. You can also say, if you don't act fast, you'll miss the boat in this deal. Another idiom is on the same page. This means to agree or to understand something in the same way as someone else. For instance, let's make sure we're on the same page before we move forward with the project. Or the whole team needs to be on the same page for the event to succeed. Now let's talk about throw in the towel. This idiom means to give up or surrender. For example, after trying everything, I finally threw in the towel. It's often used in sports or challenges. You might also say, he was struggling with the new software and threw in the towel after a week. The next idiom is call it a day. This means to stop working for the day, or to decide that an effort is finished. For example, we've done enough. Let's call it a day. Or after trying for hours, we called it a day. Another good one is cut to the chase. This means to get to the point without wasting time. For instance, let's cut to the chase. What do you want? Or she always cuts to the chase in meetings. Try this scene. We weren't on the same page at first, but we worked it out. I didn't want to miss the boat, so I cut to the chase and asked for help. I almost threw in the towel halfway through the project, but we made great progress. By the end of the day, we decided to call it a day and celebrate. Your turn. Write a short paragraph about a time you were working with others and needed to communicate well. Use at least 4 idioms from this part. Now, let's move on to jump the gun. This idiom means to start something too early or before you're supposed to. For example, he jumped the gun and submitted the report before everyone else was ready. You might also say, let's not jump the gun. We need more information. Another idiom is a blessing in disguise. This means something that seems bad at first, but ends up being good. For instance, losing that job was a blessing in disguise. I found something better. Or her rejection turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Now, the tip of the iceberg. This idiom means a small part of a much bigger issue. For example, the argument was just the tip of the iceberg. There were bigger problems. You can use it to explain that what you see is just a small piece of a more serious situation. Let's talk about get the hang of it. This idiom means to learn how to do something after practicing. For example, it was hard at first, but I'm starting to get the hang of it. Or, don't worry, you'll get the hang of it after a few tries. And one more, go with the flow. This means to accept things as they happen and not resist changes. For example, plans changed, so we just went with the flow. Or he didn't stress about the schedule. He prefers to go with the flow. Practice example. At first, I jumped the gun by booking tickets before confirming dates. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The earlier date had better weather. When issues came up later, I realized they were just the tip of the iceberg. I didn't panic, though. I tried to go with the flow. And after some time, I finally got the hang of using the booking system. Now you try. Think of a situation that started badly but turned out okay. Use at least 4 idioms from this group. Finally, let's look at a few idioms that are perfect for daily reflection. Spill the beans means to reveal a secret. She spilled the beans about the surprise. Take it with a grain of salt means not to take something too seriously. He exaggerates a lot. Take it with a grain of salt. Face the music means to accept the consequences of your actions. She had to face the music after skipping work. And the last straw means the final problem in a series of issues. When he forgot her birthday, it was the last straw. Final scene. He spilled the beans about the plan, but I took it with a grain of salt. I didn't believe it until I saw it. Later, he had to face the music when everyone found out. For some, that might have been the last straw, but I gave him another chance. Now you try. Write a reflection on a time you had to accept the truth or deal with consequences. Use 4 idioms to describe your experience. And that brings us to the end of this journey through 200 of the most common English idioms. By now, you've heard them used in daily life, seen them in action, and practiced them in context. Keep reviewing, practicing, and most importantly, try using these idioms in your daily conversations. The more you use them, the more natural they will become.